Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 17 of What If Naruto was given abilities by 4 devils. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends in social media platform, and also stay in tune for the new episodes coming over on Anime King 2 and also Anime King 3. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time hearing my voice and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King 2, and Anime King 3, all other links will be down in the description for you guys to enjoy the other channels. Remember to click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And turn on that bell notification to stay posted. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last time we left off, as Conqueror came by to help Shikamaru and Choji take on Yuri, as he was now a transformed ice demon. As they hit him with everything they got, Choji even took the last pill and slammed him into the earth. But he came back out and he said that he was going to drag them all to hell, as he did a last resort technique called Frozen Armageddon, as he exploded. But Conqueror was able to block the attack, forcing almost all of his chakra into the sorcerer puppet to block it, as they were able to get out though. But Choji had passed out as he was in bad condition. They need to get him back to Konoha. Meanwhile, that was going on as Temari came to aid Shino and Kiba, who was in a bad situation. But her wind, she was able to cool the lava and it turned into rocks. So with that, they face off against Mitsumi. She was able to use her Weasel technique as she sliced him up to pieces. Meanwhile, as Kabuto was being outmatched when Gaara arrived, as he realized he underestimated them too much. But he told him that he will be back, and with that he burst into snakes and fled. We then had a time skip, as the group had came back to Konoha, as Naruto was unconscious. They brought him to the hospital, as Sakura was waiting, but Sasuke never came. She remembered what Naruto said, as she wondered if he actually did it. They all went to the hospital, and Inoichi did a technique, as he was able to view the contents of Naruto's mind, and the others could see it as well, as they saw what happened, as Naruto met up with Sasuke, and the both of them started to clash. The both of them were not going all out at the beginning, as Naruto was holding back. Sasuke got furious as he realized he was still losing, so with that the battle intensified even more, until Sasuke was out of chakra, as Orochimaru then came out of the seal. Yes, that was the entire reason, as Orochimaru tried to take over Sasuke's body. But Naruto transformed into the silhouette of the fox, as he was able to completely annihilate Orochimaru. Sasuke was now beaten, but then, as Naruto's ancestor came there, Naruto couldn't believe it, as he last saw this man on Demon's Island. It was Sodeki Kazuma, as he took Naruto's own blade and stabbed Naruto with it. As Naruto started to falter, but he got back up. Sodeki was surprised as Sasuke had received chakra from Sodeki and slammed a Shidori right through Naruto's stomach, as he simply smirked, as he wouldn't get to see him evolve into greatness, as he pushed Naruto off, and Naruto fell into the water. Last thing he saw was their smirking face, as Naruto had felt himself getting weaker and weaker, until he found himself at an unknown location, nothing but pure white around, as he thought that he was dead. That was when he heard a voice, giving up so soon. So yeah guys, so basically that's what I left off. You guys can switch across to the place and check it out for yourself. So what do you say begin this new episode? So is that it? Have you given up already? Naruto slowly turned. Father? As he saw Minato standing there with a slightly disappointed look on his face. I am sure that you're surprised to see me again. Well, that was because I designed the seal, in case your death come before the Kyuubi can be absorbed completely. I will appear in your mind and rescue you from death's door. But I'm surprised, my son. Are you giving up on living? Asked Minato, as Naruto lowered his head in shame. No, Dad, I haven't. It's just, I'm all but drained after that fight. And I just don't know what to do anymore. Minato came over and placed both hands under the shoulders. Then perhaps this time you gain what is truly yours. Your true power. As Naruto looked up at him, confused. True power? You mean the trigger? This must be what he meant. Minato nodded, confirming Naruto's suspicions. Yes, Naruto, the trigger that you will need to defeat Sasuke. He's a full-blooded demon by now. And with that sword that he has gotten a lot more powerful. You will need everything you have to face him, and I can help you with that, said Minato. As Naruto nodded. Very well then, what do I have to do? Minato smirked. Let your anger become your trigger, and you shall gain the power that you need. Meanwhile, outside the real world, inside the hospital, the clan heads were shocked, as well as the Jonins, as Minato had came and saved Naruto from death. As Hiruzen and Jiraiya were smirking, once again showing that Minato was as unpredictable as Naruto, putting this function into the seal to make sure that he could save his son. Like father, like son, they thought, while the Konoha 12 could only look on in shock. Naruto was a son of the 4th Hokage? In addition, what did he have to do with the Kyuubi? Wasn't the beast supposed to be dead? Sakura was the only person that was curious to find out. So she asked her new teacher, Tsunade-sama, what does the Kyuubi and the 4th Hokage has to do with Naruto? That would be told a little bit after this is over, said Tsunade. Back to the action with Sasuke and Sasuke. As the both of them are looking down the water, it looks like the dope won't be coming back from that. But why haven't I received my Mangekyo Sharingan yet? Said Sasuke. Despite everything, their rivalry in the beginning that had turned bloody. As Naruto was the only person in the village that Sasuke wanted to fight, he thought by killing Naruto that he would gain his Mangekyo Sharingan. I don't know either, said Sasuke. Something was wrong. But it didn't matter. We have other business to attend. Come, let us go, he said. Thump. Thump. Something was beaten as the both of them turned. Thump. Thump. The both of them looked around as they felt a strong presence. Back with Naruto, rebellion started to glow. As suddenly, the skull burst open, the eyes of the skull shining red as it exploded out of the water. A massive whirlpool started to spin and rebellion stood on top of the water. Sasuke and Sasuke were confused before a boom, an invisible force slammed into them that sent them sailing away. But they flip and land on their feet. To their shock, Naruto burst out of the water as he was surrounded in a white aura that were flickering around him. He then released a monstrous scream as an aura of pure golden energy exploded from its body. When it finally died down, he looked different from before. 5 feet 11 inches. Long, white spiky hair now. His hair was more spiky than before, with a large red symbol in the middle of his chest, with spikes running along his black and red arms. Black and red markings going all over his body. He held up his hand as rebellion flew towards him as he caught it. Before Sasuke could even see it coming, he cried out in pain as his left arm was gone. As Naruto twists and swings his blade firing off a stinger, Sasuke brought Force Edge in front of him as he tried to block the attack with his blade, only for him to be blown back. He stabbed Force Edge into the ground, trying to stop himself. Sasuke stood there, his eyes wide. Amazing. You awakened the devil trigger, Sasuke said, as he placed his sword on his back and quickly picked up his severed arm and placed it under his armpit as he held on to Sasuke's shoulder. We will meet again, boy. Naruto swung his blade as massive wind blades ripped through the area, severing all rocks. But Sasuke and Sasuke fled. Sasuke used one of his techniques to vanish with Sasuke. As Naruto stood there, his body humming with power, suddenly he collapsed down to his knees. As the rush, the new power being unlocked, everything finally caught up to him, and also being stabbed and knocked into the water as he passed out. End of flashback. 2 hours later, as Tsunade sighed once again, as she sat before her old teacher and her teammate. As Jiraiya, all of them are currently serious at the moment. So I take it this has to be done, huh? As Jiraiya nodded his head as he presented the contract with the alliance to the sand. After the agreement was made between them, they would have to arrange a marriage between the Princess of Wind and the Prince of Fire. And that was the fourth Hokage's son, and the Kazekage's daughter, mainly Naruto and Temari. Tsunade felt a bit angry. After all, Naruto was going to be her future husband. But they had to keep the relationship secret until he became a replacement. I'm afraid so. Konoha is not in a position to deny a proposal to strengthen our alliance. Neither can we forget the fact that the girl asked him for a date while in the Chunin exams, said Sarutobi. As Tsunade sighed once again. Alright, I'll agree to the terms, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. How is he doing? She asked. As he had went home after his battle with the Uchiha traitor, he woke up an hour ago. He's fine, but he said that his chakra control has been shot to hell after his ascension. But he said that he's stronger than he ever felt before, said Jiraiya, as Tsunade nodded. That's good to know, she said. But what do you plan to do, she asked. I think I'm going to take him out of the village for a while to get his control back. It should help him master his new form. It may take a full 3 years, seeing that I plan to teach him what I can. Very well then, said Tsunade. Make sure you both come back alive. Jiraiya simply smirked. You have nothing to worry about, Hein, he said. Meanwhile, at the hidden sound, Sasuke, are you ready to go through it? It will be a very intense procedure. Only a few have survived, said Sasuke. Sasuke was lying down in a pentagram that Sasuke had drawn, with his blood and the Uchiha blood as well. After all, he knew it was dangerous because only a few lived through the process that is called rebirth. I don't care, Sasuke said. So long as I gain the power I need to finally kill the dope. Sasuke raised an eyebrow. Oh? You no longer wish to kill your brother, Sasuke asked. Sasuke shook his head. That surprised Sasuke, as he said no. I can kill him at a later time, but the one I really want to kill now is Naruto, Sasuke said. Knowing that Naruto defeated him once, and then once again, and he was always coming out on top. He will have to kill him. There was just a burning drive inside of him to make sure he slaughtered Naruto. He needed to prove that he's the strongest one between them, and if it meant selling his soul for it, then he would gladly give it away no matter what. Very well then. Let's begin the procedure. It was time for Sasuke to become a half-devil, as Sasuke went through one-handed seals before slamming his hand down. Rebirth, he said. The seal that Sasuke drew on the ground started to be immersed into Sasuke's skin. He felt like his body was being ripped apart by a meat grinder as he cried out in pain, but he clenched his teeth as he tried to bear through it. It felt like his body was being torn apart and at the same time being healed, and the fresh wounds were torn apart once again. It took hours of unbridled pain, but Sasuke didn't pass out as a pentagram seal came on his chest. Sasuke watched from the other side of the room as he used his eyes to calculate the rising power within Sasuke's body. He's doing well, Sasuke said. He managed to survive the first step of the ritual. Now it's time for the second stage. Sasuke's scream intensified as a purple beam shot from his chest and flew towards the ceiling. As he screamed even more, black flames started to build up around the pentagram as they started to engulf his body till nothing was remained but the purple beam that was still shining bright. The black flames then started to crack. It was unnatural. Flames cracked into pieces with a white light before it exploded as Sasuke had to shield his eyes. Once he finally opened his eyes and the light subsided, he was greeted with a humanoid silhouette. Sasuke was taking in several deep breaths. As he stooped down on the ground, the ritual was now complete. He hasn't changed all that much. His hair has gotten a bit longer, but he was still normal. But Sasuke could see within Sasuke and the demonic power that was suddenly arriving inside of him. As Sasuke smirked at that, he walked towards the boy and helped him get to his feet. As he smirked at him. Congratulations, you survived the process, he said. As Sasuke made his way over to the wall before pressing his arm on it, the wall shifted as he pulled out a blade. It was a large, double-edged sword with a dragon mount on the guard. This sword is called the Alasar. It's a lightning blade, devil arm that you will master within the next 3 years. Since I only have one arm right now, I won't be able to train you to the fullest, but in time I will, Sasuke said, as he left Sasuke grinning, looking down at the blade in his arms. This was the power he was looking for, the power that he wished to gain for many years now, and he have it. He finally have it. Meanwhile, the Namikaze estate, As Naruto was currently lying down in the training field relaxing, his ascension changed him a lot. His hair was longer. While in his normal form, he wanted to cut it, but the girls begged him not to. They said that it made him look more handsome, just adding on to his beautiful features. So he left it. Naruto felt stronger than ever, but his chakra control is a mess right now, and some of his muscles were still sore. So he couldn't really get into intense training right now. Hey kid, as Jiraiya appeared beside him, we're going to be leaving the village for a bit, so you can pick up Temari and give her that date you won in the tuning exams. As Naruto already knew about the training trip, but he didn't know about the agreement between Konoha and the San. He will be told that very soon, but given his situation already, he wouldn't really mind. As Naruto clenched his fists, in 3 years' time he will be done with his training, so he can get back to his full strength. And he was going to kill Sasuke, and so did he as well. As he got to his feet, and he also wanted to go to the Spring Country, as he had a long overdue visit to Koyoke. Time skip. Two figures were making their way towards the north gate of Konoha. One was taller than the other by shoulder height alone, the both of them having white hair, with one of them wearing the kanji for oil on his forehead, with his green vest. Everyone can look at him and tell that this was none other than the Toad Son in Jiraiya. The shorter one, his white hair reached his shoulders, with blue eyes. He was wearing black pants with black boots, with a gun holster on his waist that had two guns in them, as he was wearing a black fingerless gloves, with a black long sleeve shirt, a muscle shirt, as he was wearing a Hayori that went straight down, with red flames on the back, and it read, Konoha Red Devil, with the Konoha headband wrapped on his forehead, with his strap going down towards his back, where a nicely looking sword was resting on it at the moment. The two figures approached the gate guards. Halt! State your name and the reason for entering Konoha, the man said before he took a full view. But before he could say anything else, they spoke. My name is Jiraiya of the Toads, returning from a departure mission. The shorter one then spoke. Naruto Namikaze, returning from a leave of absence, he said, as the both of them smirked. As Naruto took in a deep breath, home sweet home, he thought to himself. It has been 3 long years since he left the village with Jiraiya to go on that training trip, and now he was finally back. Elsewhere, it was a beautiful day in Konoha right now. Yes, 3 years has passed since Naruto Namikaze had departed and left Konoha with Jiraiya so that he could train. Tsunade relaxed in her chair. As she was smiling, it seems like only yesterday the 14-year-old boy left the village, and now he could return home at any time now. She was feeling anxious to see him, along with the other girls that held his heart, as they were waiting for his return. A lot of things has happened since the last 3 years, as she reminisced. The first thing that happened was her removing the civilian council from the main council and removing them from doing anything with the shinobi or military plans. If anything, they were the one that was lowering the shinobi populace when it comes to getting stronger when it comes to the academy. After all, most of their children came home saying that they were tired from a long day at the academy, and then they went to speak to the teachers to try to lower the status of the training that was going on there. Tsunade had cut all of that out, and the Shinobi Academy had been refined, as all D-rank missions were performed within the academy, so a team has already been selected to see how they would work together. So once they graduate out of the academy, they will be doing low C ranks, or high C ranks depending on how they have come, how far they have come. Their training was more refined, and they were also teaching them more than just the standard transformation and the clone jutsu. That is why she had a Jonin instructor. It wasn't a Chunin anymore that had taken over. There was a Jonin. 2 Jonins per class, with the Chunins helping the teams along, as the Chunins will act as evaluations to test their skills and to see how far they've come along. Not to mention the tree and water walking exercise had to be added in their last final tests before leaving the academy. Those were a must. And the Kunoichi program was changed after all. There was a tea ceremony. What does that have to do with anything about being a Kunoichi? And there was a flower picking ceremony. As the council has been really getting it soft on these kids. They had lowered the standards so much. They were not prepared at all for what was going to happen to them out in the real world. So she had completely cut those garbage. and got down to the real hearts of things. And also the medics. She has gotten a medics on every team to lighten the amount of death. After all, not having a medic out on the field when your partner was injured was a really bad thing. Because the only thing you could do was help them along and try to get away. Or, you had to leave them to die if you were surrounded by the enemy. But having a medic on the team to help them to come along so that they wouldn't die, that would lessen the amount of deaths that happened on the field. She made the requirement all kunoichi got a year of training in medical ninjutsu. If they wish to continue after that, they can. The number of Genin's death was lowered drastically, and it was now rare to see a Genin die on a C-rank mission. Another thing that happened in the village was a removal and execution of Danzo Shimura and his root, Foundation. The man had planned to escape the village. Seeing that Tsunade was changing everything and weeding out everything, all of the traitors, all who were disloyal. As the man seemed to have some talks with the hidden sound, she had her group found out everything about it. And after realizing that the man still had his Envu program running, she decided that enough was enough. She was surprised about all the secrets he hid from the village and the council, including his involvement with Orochimaru. He had also went under some mutations to his body, as he had the cells of the first Hokage, not to mention, from the Uchihas that were massacred, he had stolen some of their eyes, and he got a strange arm that was fixed with those eyes inside. That is the main reason why he wanted to turn Naruto into a weapon, because he believed that he could control him. But lucky they got to him before he could do anything, and they stopped him, while that arm was still sealed away. But it doesn't matter because he's history right now. Suddenly someone burst into the room. "Tsunade-sama, wonderful news," said Shizune, as she looked like she'd been running for a long while now. "What is it, Shizune?" asked Tsunade. "It's Naruto-kun. He's back," she said. "Really? Where is he?" asked Tsunade. "He's in the market district. If we hurry, we can catch him." As the both of them were excited to see him, as Tsunade quickly made her way. Meanwhile, as Naruto was smiling to see Tsunade head on the rock, as he had a proud smile on his face. Their relationship had to be kept a secret, because no doubt if the council find out about this, they would try to twist it in some ways. But he was just happy. Just like the others, she was watching over the village. "I see someone has finally returned." Both of them turned as they saw Shizune and Tsunade approaching them. Tsunade came over and wrapped him up in a hug, as Shizune hugged him as well, as he was tall, surprisingly tall. As the both of them broke away, "You sure have grown, Naruto-kun," said Shizune, as he smiled at that. "So, how's everything since I've been gone?" said Naruto. "Has the council tried to do anything since my absence?" "No. They have been stripped of their power when it comes to shinobi duties, so there isn't much that they can do right now," said Tsunade, already knowing that he was talking about the civilian council. "I've also changed everything when it comes to the academy. Soon, I believe that Konoha can become what it used to be back in the past, up to full strength. Know that you're back, and with your clan in tow," she smiled. "Is there something you're not telling me?" said Naruto, as he felt like she was leaving out something. "Oh yeah, know that you're a Jonin in rank. You have to attend council meetings." "Wait, what?" But no one told me I had to do that, as he turned towards Jiraiya, who scratched the back of his head and simply laughed. "Well, I would have mentioned it, but we were too busy training. Kinda forgot." Tsunade nodded. "Also, you have to remember, Shizune is running the hospital, and I'm the Hokage. Shizune is always too busy. And if I take your place, that would expose our relationship." Naruto grabbed his head as he rubbed his face. "Don't worry, Naruto-kun," said Tsunade. "It's not that bad. And don't worry, I promise I'll make it up to you later." Seeing the look on her face as he turned towards Shizune, well, he knew what they had in mind. He simply shrugged. Well, he could put up with at least a couple. Elsewhere, the blade Alastor was ripping through shinobis after shinobis. 200 of them as they were being slaughtered. Sodiki had a smile on his face, a big wild smile that would have split his face in half if it stretched even more. Sodiki was watching his newest development. The boy was progressing wonderfully with his devil powers. He was now a half devil, and he would be a good tool to help him take over the world. All of the tools that he needed to take over this world, he had them. But he still needed a lot of preparation time to achieve all of his goals. But the grasp was there. As he smiles, he watches Sasuke slaughtering the ninjas. As he smirks, he first need to get an army of his warriors together, as he need to bring them through metamorphosis. Just like the two prototypes that he did a couple years ago. He has worked endlessly in the last 3 years to create more human devil arm hybrids. While there were a few successes, there was still a large fatality rate in most of them not surviving the process. Then there was still the matter of the sound for being dead as well, and his descendant taking one as his mate. So he had a limited access on what the true potential of a hybrid could reach, seeing that most of these guys were too weak to achieve anything beyond he has given them so far, and most of them just end up dying because of the power overload. He shrugged, it didn't matter, he still had time. But there was another problem regarding the Akatsuki group that he killed 3 years ago, the Bijus. He currently had 4, the Sanbai, the Yanbai, the Gobe, and the Rokibai. And while he had his plans for them, he wasn't sure if they were enough to do what he wanted. He would have gone after the other 3 holders, except his descendant. But he couldn't risk going to attack Kumo, given that the 8-tail host had managed to control the Biju, not to mention holding on to Samihata, and not to mention the Nibi and Shishibai holder. They were currently in Konoha, as he clenched his fist at that. His descendant was probably holding them as his mates, and not to mention his cousin. And he couldn't really get into a fight with those two right now. So he would have to do something else to gain the amount of power he seek for his plan to go on. There is still those 3 Orochimaru gave the curse mark to, but one of them is inactive. And the other 2 just use it to increase the power of their bloodline. Maybe he should do something with those 3 and the Bijus, he thought to himself. Suddenly, Kabuto appeared. Sodiki-sama, the search group that you sent is currently looking through the demon realm. They say that you're getting close by the hour. Sodiki nodded. Good, Kabuto. Now, I would like you to do something else for me. What do you wish of me, my lord? Asked Kabuto. I want you to gather Suigetsu, Karin, and Jugo into the power chambers and wait for my arrival. Also, have you mastered Orochimaru's forbidden technique? Kabuto slammed his hands together as a box rose up out of the earth. It was a coffin as the lid fell over, to reveal a figure resembling Orochimaru. The box then closed up back and went underground. It took me a while to get the hang of it, but I can now use the technique at will, although it's still rather taxing on my chakra. Don't worry, I know what to do to fix that problem, but for now, please gather those 3 and bring them to the power chamber. Kabuto nodded as he wished as he went off. As he turned to see Sasuke sever the head of his last opponent, Sasuke stabbed the blade in the earth. I am through with these pathetic weaklings. Give me a better challenge. Sodiki smirked at that. Now, Sasuke-kun. There is no need of rushing into battle without getting a feel of fighting multiple opponents first. Besides, you know how much you wanted to test your new eyes out. Sasuke scowled. Over the past 3 years, Sasuke has changed. Usually, someone had light in their heart for them to change from the darkness, but Sasuke now was just brimming with pure darkness. As he had on a white shirt, it was a zip-up, with the Uchiha crest on the back with 2 black bracers on his arms. Pants, black pants and sandals, with a purple rope tied around his waist. He pulled his sword from the ground and walked towards the teacher. His eyes were no different from before as well, as he had a star pattern within his eyes. I know, the power of the dual Mangeta Sharingan is amazing. And I'm glad that you were able to get Madara's eyes when you killed him, or I would have never gotten these, said Sasuke. Sodiki smirked at that. Well, you should feel glad because you earned them, Sasuke. But now, it's time for you to gain your next devil arm. What's the occasion, Sasuke said, as he's been using Alastor for the past 3 years. For him to get something right now, something new must have been coming up. It appears that the time that I've been waiting for is finally arrived. And also there is something coming to this world, said Sodiki with a smirk. What exactly is coming, Sasuke said, as Sodiki turned his back and looked up in the sky. The devil eclipse, he said. Time skip. The next day, Naruto rubbed his hand down his face, as upon opening his door when he arrived and said that he was home, he went through sex after sex after sex after sex, as he was just buried in a pile of female bodies as Kurenai, Anko, Yujito, Teiwaya, Tenten, Haku. Then he moved on to Hinata, who wants to get hers tenfold. At the moment, she was currently lying on top of his chest. It was like everything in the past 3 years has been, well, accomplished. As you remember when he went to visit Koyuki as well. If she was here, they would be in a relationship at the moment. After seeing her, she was incredibly happy. They spent a lot of time together, but as they did, they realized they couldn't have the relationship that they wanted. She was a daimyo, and he was a jonin of Konoha, as they had to leave the village, and that would cause problem for both of them if they wanted to be together. So they just became friends. But that didn't mean that they didn't stop flirting with each other, and also thinking about each other occasionally. As Naruto heard someone approaching his door, there was a slight knock before the door was opened. I see that you had yourself a wild night last night. As he looked over as Temaru was standing there, he rose up a bit as Hinata grabbed onto the pillow. As he looked at her, "You don't know the half of it," he said with a smile. "Well," she said, "first thing, Tsunade wants you in her office as soon as possible. And I want what you promised me 3 years ago in the exam. Remember?" As Naruto walked towards her, as he wrapped his arms around her waist, before placing them on her butt. "A date can't be the only thing that you want." "Well," she said, "I'm not just satisfied this mark alone." As he had found out that she was going to be one of his wife, as it was a mark on her at the moment, one that he gave her, and he didn't really mind her being his wife. She had a brown fox with wings surrounding it, like a tornado. "Come on, how about we go to the Unspring," she said, "and see where things go from there." As the both of them made their way. Later on at the tower, as Naruto had managed to get away after he was done with Temari, so that the other girls wouldn't wake up and ravish him and stop him from coming to the office. He was also glad that Tsunade wanted him for something else, as he really didn't know how he was able to please all these girls. After all, Tsunade and Shizune made sure that they had theirs first before sending him home, knowing that it was like a lion den back there. "Looks like someone had a long nice night after returning," said Tsunade, as she saw Naruto sitting down on the couch. "Tell me about it," he said. "So, what is it that you wish to discuss?" She pulled out a folder with the word "Top Secret" on it. "There has been a recent rumor about the alliance between the grass and the sound, that they're working on something, but we are unsure what exactly it is. There's also been sighting of them developing weapons around the factories border in the grass that they have built, but we don't exactly know what it is. That is where you come in. Let me guess, you want me to go and infiltrate the camps and figure out what they're planning?" Tsunade nodded. "But not alone," she said. "I don't exactly know what they're doing. We have no clue. Sending you in there with these two villages with unknown occurrences. These are above S-class," she said. "That is why I can't send you alone. As such, I've created a team of high-class shinobis that will take care of all these threats. And I want you to lead this group," she said. "As long as I get to see who you pick for the squad." As she handed him the folder, there was 8 names. 4 of them that made him smirk. 2 of them that made him narrow his eyes. And the last 2 surprised him. "I guess I can take the squad, but allow me to tell him about this before we get started." She nodded. "Also, there has been a rise in power in the Hidden Rain. Not staggering enough for causing any alarms, but staggering enough for us to notice." "What is it?" said Naruto. "We have discovered that the civil war in the Hidden Rain has ended 6 months before you left the village, and is currently under the rule of the new Rain Kage. And that man is Itachi Uchiha," said Tsunade. Time skip. It has been 3 weeks since Tsunade told Naruto about Itachi becoming the leader of the Hidden Rain. That was enough time for them to travel towards the Hidden Rain and get answers. And indeed, Itachi was the Kage. Itachi gave them, well, information. And surprisingly, he was also married to Jiraiya's old apprentice, Konan, who Jiraiya thought died many years ago. And the more surprising thing was, Itachi had a daughter, a 4-year-old daughter, called Sora, a mixture of her mother and father here. with black eyes. Upon meeting the man, I noticed that a lot has changed in the Hidden Rain. Itachi told them what happened. One moment, all of the members were gathered. The next, Zetsu was swallowed by a black mass. A black shadow that just took him away. Then someone emerged and started to laugh at the rest of them. Deidara had a blade go through his throat. Sasori was crushed in a pile of shadows. The shadows just came piling down on him, crushing his body. Kakashi had all 5 of his arts ripped out of his chest. Hidan, while immortal, was sliced into chunks of meat. He was torn apart. There was no way of bringing him back. The last 2 people, they shocked Jiraiya and Tsunade when Itachi told them Madara and Nagato, who was Pain as Konan, and Itachi was told to leave. Pain, being the strongest with his eyes, stay behind to fight them. A bit of reluctance, but they end up moving out of there, with Kisame as well. But all they heard was pure chaos and screams. He stated, while he couldn't get a full description of the man, all he remembered was those black eyes with the red circles within them. After hearing this, as Naruto knew, he knew who did it. It was his ancestor, Kazuma Sodiki. Why would he kill the Akatsuki? He attacked him on Devil Island, and then he attacked him to help the Uchiha. What was this man planning? They had then split up, as Kisame made his way, where he took on the ATL Jinchuriki, as he ended up getting killed seeing that his blade Samehata was taken away. Know that Itachi was a Kage. They wouldn't want to start anything with the Hidden Rain, so they left him be. At the moment now, Naruto was with Tsunade, as they were currently waiting on Naruto's special team to arrive. Oh, said Tsunade, I forgot to mention this to you. You know your friend Gaara, right? Naruto nodded. Well, he's getting married within a month. Naruto stopped, as he turned his head to look at her in surprise. He's what? Getting married? Since when? To who, Naruto asked. Yes, he's getting married. To Sesame Fuma. You know, the one you brought here from the Amazon country. Wait, he's getting married to Sesame? How did they even meet, Naruto? After a retrieval mission, they met each other, and they just started to talk when Temari moved into the house. He also came with her as well, and I thought it was a good ship. Seeing that the both of them were clearly into each other, and seeing that she accepted, I allowed him to take her to the Hidden Sand with him. I guess after that, things, developed between them. He also wants you to be the best man. As Naruto laughed, wow, first son of a bitch, became a Kage before me. Now he's getting married before me. What's next? He got a baby on the way, said Naruto. As he paused to wait for Tsunade to laugh, but she did not. No, he didn't, said Naruto. Yeah, he kinda did, said Tsunade. He has a son. He just turned 1 month old. His name is Komarai. Given the fact that you were gone for so long, he wanted you to be his son godfather, and I told him yes. As Naruto sit there, a smile came on his face though. Naruto the godfather. I like that, he said. The doors then opened up to reveal a team. Kurenai, Anko, Hinata, Sakura, Yujito, Kakashi, Lee, Neche, Shikamaru and Shino came inside the room. As Naruto smirked to see his team, although he didn't like that Sakura and Kakashi was a part of his team. But as he grew, he learned to realize that you had to let go of some of the things in order to grow. And that was his main issue against Sakura and Kakashi. As he had to let go of the past if you want to move on within life. And being against them now, especially like they were going to be a part of this team, that was going to be, bad for the teamwork and all that. Greetings everyone. I'm happy to see you all arrive, said Tsunade. Please have a seat. They all look confused as they sit down. Now I suppose you're all wondering why I've called you here. That is quite easy. The village is in need of your services more than ever right now, she said. It appears that a new threat has been risen in the grass, and we need all of your assistance to get rid of that threat. But the group was confused by that because the grass was supposed to be their allies, and Sakura was the one to ask, but isn't the grass our allies? Why are we attacking them? They were never our allies to begin with, Sakura. We just never had that interaction to cause a need for an alliance. We were always on neutral terms, but now they have signed an alliance with the Hidden Sound. The others were shocked by that. With this new information in mind, we have decided to create a new team consist of all of you to take care of this new threat. Everyone is surprised. As Kakashi raised his hand, who will be the leader of this squad, he asked. That will be me, said Naruto as he spoke up. Everyone looked at him in shock, as Kakashi thought that it would be him. After all, he had the more experience. Not to sound rude or anything, Naruto, but why are you the leader when you've only been an elite Jonin for 3 years, while I've been an Envu captain, said Kakashi. The truth is, I was handpicked by the Hokage to be leader of his team, while you were also picked to be the strategist of the squad, due to your Envu background. You all hold talents in different areas of the squad, because you were handpicked by the Hokage. Such, you should respect the choices that she made. I'm not forcing any of you guys to join this team. Only by your acceptance will you become a member of this squad. So I will ask you one question right now. Will you accept? He asked. Immediately, Lee and Neji's hand went up. Kurenai, Anko, and Minato was next. Shino pondered on the idea for a moment. He saw more good coming out of this than bad as he raised his hand. Kakashi, while reluctant, raised his hand on the sheer principle of him redeeming a relationship with his former student. Shikamaru sighed deeply, knowing that this was going to be a lot more work. Troublesome, he said. But he still raised his hand. Plus, deep down, Naruto was one of his best friends, and by far the most trustworthy, so he would gladly work with him once again. Sakura was the only one that didn't raise her hand yet, because she didn't believe that Naruto forgave her, as to this day she was unable to talk to him, and it has been 3 long years. And she didn't want to weigh this team down. She didn't know if she was strong enough. Even though her life changed for the better after that retrieval mission. After all, at the moment, she was dating Lee. Yes, a lot has changed in the past 3 years. And now she wanted to get her friend acceptance. So she raised her hand. Alright, said Tsunade. Know that that is settled. I want all of you to be at the personal training ground at 8 AM tomorrow. And if any of you are late. As Naruto and Tsunade turned towards Kakashi, causing everyone else to do so. As he wondered why was everyone looking at him. Alright, you're all dismissed, said Tsunade. As Kakashi still wondered why was everyone staring at him. Oh, probably because the road of life was always slowing him down. As everyone left. As Naruto was making his way until his hand was grabbed by Tsunade, as she pulled him back into the room and shut the door. Elsewhere, Sodiki was sitting in his chair as he was thinking about the upcoming Devil Eclipse. What it will bring to this world once it arrived again. It was an event that came every 1,000 years to this world, and upon its arrival came the Devil War that will still be fought today between devils and humans. On the Eclipse devils, their power would magnified, and not to mention there was an opening for them to slip within the human world. That was probably how Sparda had slipped into the world 300 years ago, but that was still unknown to this day. But it doesn't matter because he would use this eclipse to take over both the human and demon world. He would use a special jutsu and keep the orbit on Earth, allow it to remain here forever. He would then return to the demon world where his power will be magnified once again. Then he would use a jutsu to destroy everything in the human world, to turn it into a wasteland. A wasteland where there would only be one ruler, and that would be him and him alone. But there was something that he needed to open the portal and keep it open. And that thing was currently residing in the demon world. That is why Kabuto reported to him about the team, as they were currently searching for it at the moment. It was a couple of months left until the Devil Eclipse. He had sent the team there 3 years ago and they were still searching. They should be closer now, but time was running. It was running out for him. But he will achieve it as he clenched his fists. Soon, everyone that remained on this world will bow before him, as he will be their one and only true ruler. Someone then came into his chambers. My lord, the 3 shinobis undergoing the rebirth are nearing the final stage now. I will estimate that it will be completed. I shall see this myself, said Sodiki, as he made his way towards the door. I need to make sure if it's a success or if it's a flop. So with that, he made his way towards the room marked Power Rebirth Chamber. The next day, as Naruto sat at a training ground, it was training ground 54. There was a waterfall, a lake, and a grass open area. The team that he had picked for this assignment need to go under harsh training before they were ready, because they were going to go up against something unknown and something dangerous, and he needed to make sure they were in fighting state. Naruto could say without a doubt currently he was on par with a Sanin. as he had to learn to regain his control and take his devil trigger to another massive boost. And not to mention his chakra was above A.G.E. Because of Fox, chakra was still being absorbed. He was sure that he wouldn't be vanished from Seal, but he would become one of his spiritual devil arms once the chakra was finished, once he turned 18. The group finally made their way, even Kakashi coming on time. Alright, said Naruto. I see you're all here. Now then, this is how we're going to do this. I want 3 different teams to go to designated areas. I want Lee, Kakashi, and Neji to go over there, he says. He pointed. Shikamaru, Shino, I want you to go over to the lake, he said. I want you, Jito, Kurenai, Anko, and Hinata to go over to the area behind the rocks. Sakura, you stay here. I'm going to be training you personally, he said. As he made 3 clones and guided them towards a position that he picked out for them, with Team 1, Kakashi, Lee, and Neji, saw Naruto had a smirk on his face. A smirk that looked, well, quite dangerous. Like he had something wicked planned for them. Alright guys, he said. Let's get to work, shall we? As all of them didn't know why, but they felt rather uneasy as they saw him summon 50 clones. Meanwhile, with Team 2, the 4 girls stood in front of him as they wonder what the training was going to be. He came over as he touched all of them on their forehead. Naruto-kun, what is going on? Hinata asked. As Naruto brought down his thumb towards the ground. You will see right now. The girls went down as they tried to pick themselves back up as they struggled to move. What the hell is this? Said Kurenai. While you 4 are deadly sexy in all ways, form, shape, and everything, we need to increase your stamina and your strength and speed. That is why I gave you all weights for you to wear for the entire time of this training, he said. First, I want all of you to get back to your feet before running around the area 20 times. And then 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and 100 squats. As the girls tried to push themselves back up. Naruto, just how much weight did you place on us? Asked Uncle. About 350 pounds. What? All of them screamed. Less complaining, more training, he said, as they all growled at him a bit. With Team 3, as they were on the water surface, as Naruto gave them 2 cloths. I want you to wrap these around your eyes. They did as they were told, as Shikamaru and Shino were confused. Now come towards me. They remember where he stood, so they made their way forward, only for them to be blown back by an unknown force. What the hell was that? Shikamaru lifted up his cloth, as he saw it was a dragon that sank back down into the water. As Naruto explained, as you can obviously see, said Naruto, I currently have a low-level water dragon circling the water, and it will attack you at random. I want you to try and come to me, and try to dodge the dragon, for your sensory abilities to go up, said Naruto. You 2 are by far good strategists, but we need your other skills to go up, he said. Now, again. Meanwhile, with the real Naruto and Sakura was looking down nervously, as she knew that Naruto has gotten a lot stronger. She would never ask him to help bring Sasuke back. After all, she realized that he was far past her grasp to save, as she had came to terms with that a long time ago. Alright Sakura, I don't know what your exact skill level is, so you and I will be having a little spar to see how far you have gotten, he said. Before that, she said, I want to say I'm sorry, Naruto, she said, for all the crap I did to you, for insulting you, for acting like I was above you, for all the rejections, everything that I did, she said as she lowered her head. After a moment, Naruto spoke. Sakura, there comes a time when people have to get past the past. While I have long since gotten over what you've done in the past, I still don't like you. Her head dropped. But I suppose I can give you a chance. 1, he said. She looked up, ballistically. If you screw that up, there will be no more redemption, he said. She nodded. It was time to prove herself. Now come at me. As she dashed forward and swung her fist, as he caught it. There was a surprised look on his face as he held onto her arm. She then twisted her leg and brought it towards his head, but he blocked it with his other arm. As he moved back, that's quite the improvement, he said. And that super strength of yours can wreck a normal person's body. But as you can see, I'm far from being normal, he said. As he moved forward once again, she swung her fist, only for him to slap her hand down, as he tapped her on the forehead as she fell back. You are far too dependent on that super strength. Although good, We're going to have to up the rest of your arsenal. Time skip. Later on. Well, today has been a good day, huh, said Naruto, as everyone is on the ground. All of them looking exhausted. Surprising Sakura looked at least tired because of her training with Tsunade, and she has been doing it for the past 3 years. But she was exhausted, as they were too weak to move. He created clones to bring them to their homes, while he knew what the girls would do later on. After all, they were going to want some payback for all of this. But he smiled, the team was coming along well. He didn't know what wait for them in the future, but he knew it was going to be dangerous, and they need to be ready. Because ever since hearing about the hidden sound and the grass worked together, he had a bad feeling in his stomach. And he knew that something dangerous, really dangerous is going to happen. But he will get them ready. And he's also ready because the next time he sees the Uchiha and his great ancestor, they're both dead. But guys, if you end right here, if one thing Sparda to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off now. See you guys soon. Peace.